Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, everybody. Want to welcome you to the Mental Wellness Sanctuary. I am your host, Francis McMillan, licensed mental health and wellness coach here in Jacksonville, Florida, as well as licensed mental health counselor. Um, Back with another one, you guys. And I don't know if everybody is hanging in there or doing okay with this time change, but I am struggling just a little bit. But we're going to get through it just like we get through everything else. So I'll give you guys just a moment to pop on. I pray that your week has been going well. I pray that your week has been blessed. Um, so yes, I hope that you guys have been taking these things that we talk about here and applying them. I hope that you guys are sharing this information with other people that you feel like could use it. So if there's a video or something like that that I just happen to post, you guys, I hope that you would share it with somebody that you feel like God places on your heart that might need to hear whatever it is that I am sharing with you guys. So I'll just wait a few more minutes, but tonight we're going to be talking about a topic that actually kind of sort of came up more recently, and it caused me to look at some things internally within self as usual. As I may not mention it to you guys often, but I am always taking an assessment of myself. I'm just making sure that I am um in proper alignment, in proper position, checking myself, seeing if there are things that I need to improve on or things that I need to do better, all these different types of things. So um it was a topic that came up and it made me think about some of the areas that I want to be a better student. I know we talk about stewardship and other things, but an area where I would like to be a better student when it comes to certain spaces or certain places, when it comes holistically, meaning spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally. I would like to be a better student, you guys. And sometimes we think that we are ready for certain things that we're asking for, and sometimes we might be. But I always have and always stand by whenever the student is ready, the teachers will show up or the teacher will show up, guys. So I didn't plan on being before you guys very long this afternoon, this evening time, but I did want to, just express that. And so we're going to get into that topic, guys, in just a moment. But I do want to give you guys some announcements, some reminders. Um, so I did, and I hope you guys have been following my social media platforms. Remember, I am on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, not long TikTok, YouTube. Um, and so I want to make sure that you guys are following me on my social media handles. I have went ahead and posted that next workshop, you guys, which is the Mental Wellness Sanctuary presents embracing self care from the inside out, you guys. So that is floating around my social media platforms. If you would like to sign up for it, it will be in person. It's for April the 6th. April the 6th from 12 to 2. So it'll be in person and it'll also be online for those of you that wish to join me virtually. You may absolutely do that. I want to also remind you guys that I am a qualified supervisor and I am taking counseling clients as well as coaching and consulting clients. My specialties are within the area of mental health as well as childcare and private school sector. So I am able to help coach you through that process if you're someone that is interested in opening up a school and you need to make sure that you have the things that you need. I am very well versed as an admin person. I have been doing that for many years. And it's one of my gifts, of course. So if you guys are struggling with organization within your businesses, and I do specialize in childcare, but I'm a beast at organizing anything. Just ask those closest to me. So if you're in need of getting something structured, something organized, something flowing, getting all the kinks out, or you just can't get your systems together, definitely talk to you, girl. I am definitely that person that can help you get that stuff situated and help you get started. Not just childcare, not just private sector, private practice sector, but in any of those areas. So do keep that in mind. Guys, don't forget, I still have my journal out. I still got Manifest, guys. So for those of you, I know somebody might have asked me about did I have some here locally in town. So I absolutely do. But if you guys are not close and you're interested in get it, I do ship as well. So you can definitely order it from the website if that's what you desire to do. I also have my book Mask Off, you guys, and I talked a little bit about this when it came to perfectionism. I'll do a deeper dive in this book, but also with much, much more when it comes to the workshop. So you guys do not want to miss that workshop that's coming up in April in regards to embracing self-care from the inside out. For those of you that have been following me for an extended period of time, I talk about the importance of this, but for you new followers, I want to say welcome to the mental wellness sanctuary with me. But I talk about all the time the importance of making sure that we are always checking ourselves and checking the things that we need to check to make sure that we are operating from the best version of ourselves. And so we feel like we can do that when we not only take care of things externally, so those things outside of ourselves, whether that is our businesses or, other things externally, but the inside of us is just as important as the outside of us. So we need to make sure that we're intentionally, like we get up and go to work every day, we need to make sure that we're intentionally taking care of ourselves personally, whether that's your spiritual self, whether that's your emotions, whether that's physically, mentally, there's different areas that we need to make sure that we are also putting that same intentionality in pouring in ourselves. I always say that when we are operating at our most optimal place, that's when we can give those that we love, things that we are passionate about, the best version of ourselves. But oftentimes, because we're depleted, because we don't take the best care of ourselves, because we put ourselves on the back burner, because we feel like it's selfish for us to take an hour to ourselves to gather ourselves, we have to change that mindset and we have to get back to making sure that we're just as intentional about taking care of ourselves as we are when it comes to taking care of everything and everybody else outside of ourselves. So that workshop that I'm going to have in April is going to go through how we're going to be able to accomplish that and to help you pay more attention to the areas where you may not be doing that and help you figure out how to begin to do that. But it first means that it has to be a priority in your life. You have to be a priority in your life, okay? So, of course, y'all, we're getting ready to start. I'm going to talk to you guys about when the when the student is ready, the teacher shows up. And if you are just joining me, I was sharing a little bit about this topic that came up recently. And I'm always doing a self assessment or I'm always trying to be aware of myself. And so it made me think about some areas where I could stand to be a better student. And it is not to say that I'm a bad student, but I could maybe listen a little bit longer or devote some more time to this area or something like that. But it made me think about how, as a student, how would I show up that I'm present? How would I let the teacher know that I'm present? And so it made me think about things that I may be expecting um, to flip it spiritually, maybe the promises that God has promised me about certain things. And if I haven't seen some of those things manifesting, or it looks like it's taking a little bit longer, or I can't seem to find somebody to partner with me on something, or, whatever it might be, I double back sometimes because then I'm like, okay, maybe there's something in regards to myself that is making me not ready. And so I've been having a couple of conversations with different people, and I have been asking them some questions when it comes to them being ready and what that looks like for them. But then also to take a deeper dive because sometimes we're reluctant to do certain things, and those certain things that we are reluctant to do are the very things that will help make sure that the teacher shows up because the student will be ready. And so, if you're somebody that, let's just say hypothetically, you would like to start a business, I'll just throw that out there. You would like to start a business, right? And you're like, I need this and I need that. I need a right hand person. I need, somebody that is dedicated and that'll work with me and so on and so forth. But you might not be as welcoming. You might have trust issues. You might have other things. And so if we don't work through those things, if we don't process those things and kind of help get into a different space, what will end up happening is, let's just say, for instance, hypothetically speaking, the Lord did send you that right hand person, but you have trust issues. Well, guess what? You wouldn't trust that person to do anything. You wouldn't trust anything or put yourself in a position to have that happen. And so, because of that, the student is not ready. And so sometimes when things are not happening in our lives the way that we think they should, we have to do a self assessment and say, hey, are there areas or aspects where I am not ready um, to do something? Something else that came up as well during some of these conversations is our maturity levels. um Sometimes when we're asking for certain things or we're wanting to do certain things, I'll be honest with you, a lot of stuff that I've been looking for and asking for requires a new level of maturity in me. It is requiring me to mature in so many different aspects, whether it's to mature in my communication with other people, where it might be causing me to mature more in how I view things and people, how I view myself. It causes me to be more mature in my leadership, if that's where I'm called to. It has caused me to be more mature in my finances or my stewardship of everything collectively. It has required some maturation in me. And some of us are in this place where we don't desire to be, or we're not willing to be mature, because then that means that we have to die to our flesh. We have to die to certain things. So that way we're able to evoke more maturity in this level. If you're a person that typically would lash out in a particular space, well, when you get into this place that you desire to be in, that can't be how you do things. So you have to learn how to mature in those areas in order for you to be able to say, okay, I'm ready for this. And that's just a bland example, you guys, but that is an example. The other thing that it caused others to look at is our inflexibility in places. Some of us are in the habit of being ourselves. And what I mean by that is, they'll say, well, this is just the way I am. This is just how I do things. This is how you're going to have to do it, take it or leave it. Different things like that. Like, that's just kind of sort of how they are. And so they're inflexible in certain areas. And being that you're inflexible in certain areas, it's like, if your the thing that you want the teacher to show up for requires you to learn how to be more flexible, until you learn how to do that, there it's not going to show up. The teacher is not going to show up, because again, what will happen is, if anything is given to us prematurely, then we have the opportunity or the likelihood of causing damage to that thing, that's supposed to be in that place for us to kind of help push us forward or help mature us or help to us to prosper in different ways. So I just want to make mention of that, that we have to, check our inflexibilities with something. Some of us are really comfortable and we are like, well, I'm not going to change that. I kind of like being in this place. And so if you like staying in that particular place, then that's pretty much all you're going to get. You're going to stay in that place. So we have to check to see if we are being inflexible at all, when it comes to the student and the teacher and everybody, showing up. So I just had three questions that I want you guys to consider, because um, one of the most interesting things I think that has transpired a little bit more recently is that once the teacher does show up, right? Then how do we then make sure that we can keep up with whatever it is that we're asking for? And are we truly prepared or preparing ourselves? And will we continue to prepare ourselves and continue to stick to the process that we are having? Because let's be honest, sometimes we may ask for a guide to do something. We may ask for the teacher to show up. And then when the teacher shows up and they're like, get this done, put this here. You got to change this. You need to start doing this. Stop doing that. We have a hard time with all of that stuff. And so sometimes we're not even willing to stick through the process of something. And so you also have to ask yourself, even if you have worked on some of those things, the flip side of the teacher showing up when the student is ready is your dedication to sticking through that process, even though you may be experiencing opposition or different things like that, being able to stick to it and see it through. So the first question that I have for you guys is, what area, so what's an area that you feel that you are reluctant to take a step forward because of what would possibly be required of you? Okay. So what's an area that you feel you are reluctant to take a step forward because of what will be required of you? I'll be honest with y'all. Mm. There are a couple of steps that at a particular point in time I declined moving forward because I did not want the responsibility of some of those things. So I'll just give you guys an example. I know I talk a lot about different things that I do, and I talk about being a qualified supervisor. And for a long time, I knew that was something that I should be doing. However, the requirement of that means that I'm taking on another person and I am leading and guiding them along a journey that, yes, I have walked through, but everybody's walk is different. And so for me, I'm very big on making sure that I am leading people the right way. I'm doing things the right way as much as possible. So, like, that to me was kind of scary. That to me was a heavy responsibility that I didn't necessarily feel like I was ready to take on. So, when it came to that aspect of it, because I wasn't willing, I was inflexible now, and I hadn't matured in that area, I ended up not doing the steps that I needed to do. And so literally, I'll tell you guys, literally the time I decided that I was going to go ahead and do this, an email popped up into my inbox the very next day offering a qualified supervisor course and training that I could take. And I signed up for it. And within not even weeks, like, it literally was coming up after that post that I had done everything that I needed to do in order for me to become a qualified supervisor. So again, when the student was ready, which was myself, that's when that opportunity showed up, and it was smooth sailing from there. I didn't have to do anything else. I just had to then be ready. So that is what I mean, guys, when I say, you know, it's us that's in the way of a lot of the things that we desire. It's us that's in the way of getting that progress and stuff that we're desiring to see, because we're inflexible, because we won't mature, because we don't want the responsibility, because of whatever our because or the reasons why. And so I want to encourage you guys to take a look at that. So again, that question is, what's an area that you feel that you are reluctant to take a step forward because of what would be required of you? And I really want you to process that, because for me, I didn't want to look up and find myself in the same spot that I had been in the previous year. So my thinking and my logic was, okay, what steps do I need to take in order to change this? And I thought about things that I had felt like that God had unctioned me to do. And so I went back and I started doing those things. And again, like I said before, once I started doing those things and I walked into my obedience, that's when he opened the doors and the teacher's ready, the student ready. Okay, unlock a door. And a lot of us don't even understand that our breakthrough possibly or other things are on the opposite side of you preparing yourself as a student so that the teacher can show up and teach you, so that they can unlock the doors, so that he can start that process in your life. So do keep that in mind, y'all. Oftentimes it's us. I'm just saying. It's us. We'll say all the time, I'm just waiting on the Lord to do XYZ, and more than likely he's sitting over there like, no, I'm waiting on you to do the last thing I told you to do. The last thing I told you to do was let that thing go. The last thing I told you to do was let that person go. The last thing I asked you to do was come spend more time in my presence. The last thing I asked you to do was take a leap of faith and quit that job, or whatever it was that he has already asked you to do. However, us, the student, is not ready, so the teacher can't show up. All right. So the next question I got for you guys, okay, I'm gonna have for you guys is this. Have you started your preparation process for what it is that you want the teacher to show up for? Have you started preparing yourself for what it is that you want the teacher to show up for? Because sometimes we just sitting over there waiting, like it's gonna just show up, it's gonna do this, it's gonna do no. What have you started preparing for what you're asking for? Um, if somebody was to come in and say, "Hey, I got this class that's ready to start," have you been saving your money? Have you been checking your spending habits? Have you been checking your circle? Like whatever that preparation looks like for you personally, have you been making those changes? Have you been doing those things? Because if you have not, then I'm gonna definitely ask you to write down, well, what is it that you need to do? So based off of what you feel like you're waiting for, what is it that you need to do in order to help the teacher show up when the student is ready? So that's the other question, y'all. That's the second question that I have for you guys. And then my very last question is a really big deal. Um, and it's a really big deal because I think some of us are not in that space. The biggest question that I have for you guys after all of this is, are you teachable? Are you willing to be a student? A student of life, a student of hair, a student of business, a student of sitting at the feet of Jesus. Like, are you willing to be a student? Are you somebody that's teachable? Because if we're going to be in this space where, we're not teachable or we're not willing to be students, you know, God could send you the person that like a destiny helper. I like to say that. God can send you a destiny helper today. And if you're a person that does not like to be teachable, if you're somebody that's not willing to be a student, I mean, of course, it's teacher ain't showing up. You're not even willing to be a student. We have to be willing to be a student, y'all. We have to be willing to be a student. Um, I always say, if this is something that you're not sure about, think about. I think about mentors, um, and how mentors come into our lives. The destiny helpers, I call them destiny helpers, especially the ones that God personally connects you to. They come into our lives and they are teachers, and we have to remain teachable. We have to be willing to be a student, right? And let's just say that mentor comes in and that mentor gives you exactly what you need to know, to grow, to change, to become the best version of yourself. No, they don't sugarcoat things for you and tell you what you want to hear and all of that. That's not what mentors are there for. And sometimes they will ruffle your feathers, and sometimes they will get up under your skin, and sometimes they will tell you exactly what it is that you don't want to hear. But at the end of the day, it's coming from a place of love, usually, especially when that mentor has been paired with you from the Lord. Okay. Um, Sometimes we're not even willing to be a student. Sometimes we're not even willing to be teachable. Or we're teachable to a certain extent until we get offended by something. And then once we get offended by something, now we're no longer teachable. But not even understanding that all of this is preparation for where it is that you're getting ready to go. I'm messing around with this light, y'all. My light got turned off. That's all right. That is preparation for, let me turn the big on. Anyway, that it's preparation for a season that you're going to get ready to go into. I can remember being pushed into a place of leadership, and I definitely don't want to do that. And for those of you that know me personally, they're not kicking and screaming for that type of thing here, right? Um, and when I started to embrace that a little bit longer, or to be more intentional about it, once I made my peace with it and kind of accepted that calling of leadership, um, after then, it was kind of an interesting transition because now I'm doing leadership in one particular area. Now my leadership is going to have to shift in another space, and the roles are going to be changed. So in a season where I was being mentored and maybe still being mentored in different areas, now I'm going to turn around and now I'm going to be the teacher and somebody else is going to be the student, like if I do the qualified supervisor thing. And so if I didn't remain teachable, if I didn't remain being willing to be a student, the things that I need to impart and teach those that are assigned to me, I may have missed some of those things. Um, and so I'm just saying that to say that no matter where you are in your journey, you have to always remain teachable. You have to always be willing to be a student because you're one day going to be in a different position and where you're going to have to help somebody else the same way somebody else helped you. And so, with that being said, that last question is, guys, are you teachable and are you willing to be a student? And if you are not, then you need to figure out what causes you to not be teachable. Are you easily offended? Um, you want somebody to baby you. Do you feel like you're always the victim? You feel like you're always misunderstood. Like, I don't know what your reasonings would be, but I would like to encourage you to become more self-aware of what that looks like for you so that you can put yourself in the proper position for the teacher to show up because the student is now ready. Okay, y'all. So that concludes my mental wellness sanctuary chat this evening. Um, be teachable, y'all. Be willing to be a student of life. Be willing to sit up under somebody that God has positioned to help you, and try to get from that person everything that you can, because you never know when you might have to use it. Take care of whoever that teacher is. Make sure that you take care of them. Make sure you take care of that relationship. Make sure that you um are a good steward over that. Being a student is very important and being a teacher is very important, and we have to make sure that we are more cognizant of how we choose to handle um, these types of relationships and business partnerships, friendships, intimate relationships, all of those things. And even in those spaces, I think that there is no area in our life that we don't have to remain teachable and that we don't have to remain a student. There's no area in life. We'll never arrive to a place where we know everything and we'll be good and never have to need or whatever for somebody to teach us. I just don't think that we'll ever get to that place in life as long as we're alive. So we have to always remain a teacher and a student, teachable. And if you're a teacher, steward well over those that you're mentoring or taking care of. And if you are a student, same thing applies. Nurture that relationship. Don't be easily offended. Remain teachable. Okay, y'all. So again, thank you guys for joining me on this edition of the Mental Wellness Sanctuary. I am your host, Frances McMillan, licensed mental health therapist here in Jacksonville, Florida, as well as mental wellness and wealth coach here in Jacksonville, Florida. Don't forget, y'all, Embracing Self Care workshop is April the 6th. Okay, from 12 to 6 in person and virtually. Also, don't forget, I still have all of my merchandise over here, y'all. So I still have my cards, I still have my books, I still have my journals. And they're all available on my website, puzzlepiece.com. If you need to jump onto there, you're definitely welcome to jump on there and get your copy. Please share this live with somebody that you feel like could use this information. And don't forget to follow me, guys, on all my social media platforms. I am on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. I guess 5 hours is still on there. Don't know what's going on with that. So I will see you guys back next week, Wednesday, guys, at 7 p.m. I'm not sold on my topic yet. So I will post it when I am sold on my topic. But Farewell, you guys. Get some rest. Remember to take care of yourself. Remember, taking care of yourself is not selfish, it's necessary. And I will see you guys next week. Have a good night. Bye.